Virgo notices everything. You have always been the one who picks up on what others miss. The inconsistency in a story, the subtle shift in tone, the detail that does not quite align with the pattern. While everyone else accepts the surface of things, you are quietly cataloging, processing, cross-referencing. You notice the moment a person's words do not match their eyes. You notice when someone tells a story slightly differently the second time they tell it. You notice the pause that comes just a breath too late, the smile that arrives just a moment too early. This is not paranoia. This is precision. It is the way your mind was built, to gather information, to compare it against what has been gathered before, and to arrive at conclusions that are honest even when they are uncomfortable. So when something about a person in your life has been generating that particular quiet discomfort in your mind, that specific feeling of data that does not add up, trust it. You have not been wrong. You have simply been patient. The truth about someone is about to become impossible to look away from. Something is shifting. The layers are thinning. The clarity you have been circling, the understanding that has been forming at the edges of your awareness, is moving toward the center. These 11 signs show that the moment of full clarity is very near. 1. Your analytical mind has been returning to a specific inconsistency about this person that it cannot resolve. There is a particular quality to the way your mind works, Virgo, and it is worth pausing to truly understand it, because it is one of the most important things about you. Your mind does not give up on a problem. Other people can push something aside, decide not to think about it, let a nagging question simply fade over time. You are not built that way. When something is unresolved, when a piece of information sits in your mind that does not connect cleanly to the rest of what you know, your mind returns to it. Quietly, methodically, sometimes without your conscious permission. Circles back. It revisits. It examines from a new angle, then another, then another. And there is a particular kind of mental loop that has been running in the background of your life recently, and it involves someone close to you. There is something this person said or something this person did that your mind has been unable to file away neatly. Every time you try to accept the explanation they gave, another layer of your own careful thinking pushes back. Something is not quite right. Something does not line up. And the reason your mind keeps returning is not because you are obsessive, not because you are suspicious by nature, not because you enjoy finding fault. It is because you are honest. Because you hold a very deep internal standard for what is real and what is a story, and right now your internal standard is flagging something that the polite, tolerant, generous surface part of you has been trying to let pass. Your mind has been working on this puzzle because it is a real puzzle. And when a mind like yours keeps returning to something, that is not anxiety, that is intelligence communicating. The inconsistency you have been circling is real. The detail that will not resolve is real. And very soon, something is going to supply the missing piece that your mind has been waiting for. When it arrives, it will not feel shocking. It will feel like recognition. Like the last word of a sentence you had already heard most of. Like the final number that makes the equation balance. You will know it immediately because you have already been halfway there for longer than you have admitted to yourself. Trust the return. Trust the loop. Your mind has been protecting you by staying awake to this, and that protection is about to show its purpose. There is no shame in having taken time with this. You are not slow. You are thorough. And thoroughness is exactly what makes the moment of clarity so complete, so clean, and so final when it comes for you. You do not need more time to wonder. You need the last piece. And it is close. 2. The gap between what this person says and what they actually do has been quietly widening. Words are easy. Most people know this on some level. But for Virgo, words have never been able to carry full weight on their own, not because you are cynical or closed, but because your mind instinctively compares what is said against what is demonstrated. You listen, and then you watch, and then you notice the space between those two things. For a long time with this person, that space was small enough to explain away. A delay in following through was just life being busy. A contradiction between promise and action was just human imperfection. You told yourself what generous, patient people tell themselves, that people do not always mean what they say literally, that growth is not linear, that effort matters even when results fall short. And you were not wrong to give that grace. Grace is not weakness. It is wisdom. But something has changed in the pattern recently, and the part of you that tracks patterns has been quietly noting it. The gap has not stayed small. It has grown. And the growth has not been random or chaotic. It has followed a direction. The things this person says, the commitments they make, the image they project of who they are and what they value, have been drifting further and further from the territory of what they actually do when the moment arrives. You have been watching this without naming it fully, because naming it fully would have meant accepting something you were not yet ready to accept. But the evidence has continued to accumulate regardless of whether you named it. And now there is simply too much of it. The gap is no longer something you can explain with isolated circumstances. It is a pattern. And patterns, for Virgo, are the clearest language in the world. You do not need someone to tell you what a pattern means. You read patterns the way other people read words on a page, naturally, fluently, without effort. What you have been reading slowly and carefully is the truth of this person's relationship with honesty. Not the truth they perform, but the truth they live. And the two are not the same. Very soon, this will stop being something you observe from a careful, half-looking distance. Very soon it will stand directly in front of you, fully lit, impossible to softly reframe. And when that happens, you will not need to decide anything quickly. You will simply know. 3. Others around you are beginning to voice observations that align with what you have been processing alone. One of the quieter burdens of being a Virgo is that you often see things before other people do, and you often carry the weight of those observations alone for far longer than is comfortable. You are careful about what you say. You do not want to poison someone else's perception of a person based on your own, perhaps imperfect, perhaps biased, perhaps incomplete reading of a situation. So you hold it. You keep processing. You wait for more information. You do not want to be the person who damages a reputation on the basis of a feeling, even a very well-reasoned feeling. This caution is one of your most admirable qualities, but it can also leave you in a kind of isolation, holding an awareness that no one around you is yet ready to hold with you. And that isolation has a particular weight to it, because it means you cannot be fully honest with the people around you. You have had to answer questions about this person in ways that are technically true but deliberately incomplete. You have had to smile in spaces where your actual thoughts were considerably less simple. That particular kind of quiet dishonesty, the kind you perform out of fairness rather than deception, takes a toll over time. But something is shifting now. The people around you are beginning to say things out loud. Perhaps not everything you know. Not the full depth of what your careful mind has gathered. But pieces. Observations. Moments of uncertainty about this same person that are starting to surface in conversations. Someone mentions something that struck them as odd. Someone else describes a moment that felt slightly off. And each of these small voicings aligns in some way with what you have been privately carrying. This is not gossip. This is convergence. When multiple different people with different relationships to the same person begin independently arriving at similar observations, that is not coincidence. That is information becoming visible. And for you, Virgo, it is the moment when the quiet weight you have been carrying is finally shared, when you no longer have to hold the full truth of what you have seen entirely alone. Something is clarifying for the people around you too. And as it does, the reality of who this person is will become something no single person can be expected to quietly manage on their own. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. 4. A dream or moment of sudden clarity has shown you this person in a light you had been carefully avoiding. Dreams, for a sign as logic-oriented as Virgo, can be easy to dismiss. You are more comfortable with the world of facts, observable behavior, and traceable patterns. Intuitive information, the kind that arrives without a clear source, without a logical chain of evidence, can feel unreliable to you, even when it is pointing somewhere important. But your mind does not stop working when you sleep. And sometimes what your waking mind has been too careful to fully accept, your dreaming mind presents directly. Perhaps you have had a dream recently that involved this person in a way that felt different from ordinary dream imagery. Perhaps it showed them in a context that exposed something. Perhaps the emotional quality of the dream, the clarity, the certainty you felt within it, followed you into waking in a way that did not fade quickly, the way most dreams do. Or perhaps the clarity did not come through sleep at all. Perhaps it came in a moment of stillness, a pause in a regular day, a quiet walk, A moment between tasks when your usually busy mind briefly stopped filling itself with its normal stream of analysis and something simply became clear. A knowing, a recognition, a sense of seeing this person without the layers you had been carefully maintaining around your own perception of them. These moments of sudden clarity are not random. They are the result of processing that has been happening underneath your conscious awareness for a long time. Your mind has been working on this person, on the truth of who they are and what their presence in your life actually means, on a level deeper than your daily reasoning. And when that deeper processing reaches its conclusion, it does not always announce itself through evidence. Sometimes it arrives as a knowing that precedes the evidence, that arrives before you can explain it. That knowing is not a hallucination. It is not anxiety or imagination. It is your own mind, after extensive and careful work, arriving at a conclusion and delivering it to you in the most direct way available. Trust what that moment showed you. Trust the light you saw this person in. The evidence to confirm it is already forming in the visible world. 5 situations are arising that remove the usual layers and show who this person truly is when unguarded. Every person has a version of themselves that they present to the world. A curated, managed, intentional version that exists for social purposes. This is not necessarily deceptive. Most people do this to some degree, and it is simply a part of how human beings navigate relationships and communities. The person we are when we feel safe, when we are not being observed, when we have not prepared ourselves to be seen, that is often a very different person than the one we show in structured or observed moments. For a long time, your interactions with this particular person have happened largely within contexts that allowed them to maintain their presented version. There have been witnesses. There have been social pressures. There have been structures that kept things on a certain track. But something is shifting in the conditions around this person, and what it is doing is removing those structures one by one quietly without announcement, and placing you in situations where you encounter who they actually are when the usual layers are not in place. Perhaps you have caught a glimpse of how they behave when they believe no one of consequence is watching. Perhaps a high-pressure or unexpected moment stripped away the prepared version and showed the reflexive one. The responses, the priorities, the character that emerges when there is no time to manage it. Perhaps a situation arose that required something genuine. Real generosity, real patience, real integrity. And what you witnessed in that moment was not what the presented version had promised. These unguarded glimpses are among the most honest information you will ever receive about a person. People can maintain a presentation for a very long time with effort and intention, but the unguarded self always surfaces eventually. Stress reveals it. Unexpected circumstances reveal it. Moments of genuine need or genuine inconvenience reveal it. You have begun encountering those moments, and what you are seeing is filling in the picture in ways that no amount of careful conversation could have produced. Pay close attention to what you are witnessing in these unguarded instances. You are seeing truth. 6. A feeling you cannot logically justify but also cannot dismiss keeps returning around this person. For Virgo, this is perhaps the most uncomfortable sign of all, because it operates entirely outside your preferred territory. You trust evidence. You trust logic. You trust the careful, methodical accumulation of observable data. What you are not naturally comfortable trusting is a feeling that arrives without a clear explanation. A sense of unease, a quiet alarm, a persistent inner signal that keeps returning even when you have genuinely tried to reason it away. And yet, there it is, around this person. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, not the kind of feeling that shouts, because feelings that shout can be easily examined and either confirmed or dismissed. This is the quieter kind. The kind that surfaces when this person's name comes up in conversation. The kind that appears in the background when you are about to spend time with them, or have just spent time with them. The kind that sits at the edge of your awareness and simply refuses to leave no matter how many times you have reasoned with it, told it that it is probably nothing, reminded it that you have no solid evidence, assured it that you are likely overthinking. That feeling is not overthinking. That feeling is your full intelligence. Not just your analytical mind, but the deeper, older, wiser intelligence that lives beneath your analysis, delivering a message that your surface mind has been reluctant to receive. A great deal of what we call intuition is actually the product of vast amounts of processing that happens below the level of conscious thought. Your mind has been gathering information about this person that you did not consciously register as important. It has been cataloging micro-expressions, inconsistencies in timing, patterns of behavior that your conscious attention did not fully pause to note. And all of that gathered, processed information has been compressed into that feeling. The feeling is the conclusion. It arrived before the conscious summary because your deeper mind finished the work before your surface mind was ready to accept the result. Do not dismiss it. Do not keep reasoning it away. It is not asking you to act impulsively. It is simply asking you to stop pretending it is not there. Because it is there. And it is right. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. 7. Someone else brings information that reframes the entire picture in a way that confirms what your instinct knew. There will be a moment, perhaps it has already happened, perhaps it is days away, when someone in your life, someone who may not even be particularly close to you, says something that lands differently than they intended. They tell you something, share something, mention something in passing, and something in that information connects to everything you have already gathered, and suddenly the picture changes. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or confrontation, but with a quiet, absolute clarity, like a key turning in a lock that has been waiting. The information itself may not be enormous. It may be a detail, fact, an observation made by someone who has no idea how much weight their words carry for you in that specific moment. But because your mind has been working on this puzzle for so long, because you have been holding so many pieces already, this new piece does something that individual pieces cannot do on their own. It completes a shape. And the shape it completes is exactly the shape your instinct had been tracing in the dark, without enough light to see clearly. This is how clarity works for Virgo. You rarely receive it all at once. You receive it in pieces, patiently gathered over time. And then one final piece arrives and everything assembled before it suddenly becomes a coherent image. The person who brings this piece may have no idea what they have just done. They may simply have been making conversation. They may have mentioned this thing casually, without realizing that it was the exact detail your mind had been searching for. You will recognize it immediately, not because it surprises you, but because it does not. Because somewhere underneath all your patient uncertainty, you already knew. This information will simply allow you to stop pretending that you did not. When it comes, receive it without drama. You do not need to react in the moment. You simply need to allow the full picture to come into focus. And then, from that clarity, you will know exactly what is next. 8. This person's behavior is shifting in subtle ways that answer questions you were too careful to ask directly. One of the things that makes your kind of intelligence so powerful, Virgo, is that you do not need to ask every question directly. You observe. You pay attention. You allow behavior to speak in ways that direct questioning rarely produces, because people can prepare answers to questions, but they cannot always prepare their behavior. And what you have begun to notice is that this person's behavior has started shifting. Not in dramatic ways. Not in ways that would be obvious to a casual observer. But in the ways that matter to you, in the particular details that your careful eyes have been tracking. Perhaps the way they speak about certain things has changed, a subtle change in tone and language in what they choose to emphasize or minimize. Perhaps their timing has shifted, the speed of their responses, the regularity of their presence, the consistency of patterns that were once stable. Perhaps you are noticing what they do not do as much as what they do, the things they have stopped saying, the gestures they have stopped making, the effort they are no longer putting forward in spaces where they once did. Behavioral shifts like these are full of information. They are answers to questions you were too thoughtful, too considerate, too honest about your own uncertainty to ask directly. Because you did not want to ask and risk being wrong, or risk causing conflict on the basis of something you could not yet name. But the behavior did not wait for you to be ready. It has been shifting, and in doing so, it has been answering. What it is answering specifically is a set of questions about this person's actual orientation toward you, toward honesty, toward the relationship you have been trying to understand. And the answers that are emerging from these behavioral shifts are not the answers that the person's words have been providing. They are more honest answers. They are the answers that behavior always gives when words have become unreliable. Pay attention to these shifts. They are not accidents. They are truth coming through the only channel it has available. 9. You are discovering that facing the truth brings more peace than maintaining the analysis of what was wrong. Here is something interesting that has been happening inside you, Virgo, something that might feel unfamiliar enough to be worth naming. For a long time, the analysis itself felt necessary. Keeping the question open, continuing to examine the situation, holding yourself in a state of careful consideration rather than conclusion, all of this felt like the responsible thing to do. Like the honest, fair, thoughtful approach of a person who does not want to make judgments too quickly or too harshly. And for a while, that approach served you. Kept you from closing too fast. It kept you from acting on incomplete information. It gave this person and yourself the benefit of sustained and genuine consideration. But something has shifted in how the analysis feels. It used to feel purposeful, productive, like work that was leading somewhere. Now it has begun to feel different, heavy, circular, like a machine that is still running but no longer processing anything new. The questions are the same questions. The considerations are the same considerations. You are not gathering new insight. You are simply revisiting what you have already gathered over and over, without being able to do anything with it. And underneath that exhausting loop, something else has begun to make itself felt. A different kind of inner state, one that is available to you, that you can sense at the edge of your experience, that is quiet and still and does not require continued analysis to maintain. It is the state that exists on the other side of acceptance. And what you are beginning to notice cautiously is that the moments when you move toward that state, when you allow yourself to simply know what you know without the layer of continued examination, feel lighter, quieter, more like peace. This is a significant signal, because Virgo does not stop analyzing without a very good reason. When your mind begins to quiet around something, when the analysis begins to feel unnecessary rather than incomplete, it is because your mind has finished its work. The conclusion has been reached, and your deeper self is beginning to show you that accepting it, living in the truth of it, will feel better than any version of continued wondering ever could. 10. A pattern you have observed before is repeating, and this time your precise Virgo memory recognizes it clearly. Memory for you is not simply a record of events. It is a living database, cross-referenced and indexed, that your mind draws on constantly to make sense of present circumstances. You remember not just what happened but how it felt, what the surrounding context was, what came before and after. And because your memory works this way, you are exceptionally good at recognizing patterns, not just within a single situation but across time, across relationships, across different contexts that share an essential structure. And right now, something is happening that is activating that pattern recognition in a very specific way. You have seen this before. Not necessarily from this exact person, not necessarily in this exact form, but the underlying shape of what is happening feels deeply familiar. The sequence of behaviors, the rhythm of how things have unfolded, the particular way certain truths have been softened and then softened again, and then quietly contradicted by what is actually happening. You have encountered this pattern before, and the first time you encountered it, perhaps you did not fully recognize it for what it was until it had already caused you significant pain. Or perhaps you did recognize it but told yourself this situation was different, this person was different, this time the pattern would not complete itself the same way. But here you are, watching the pattern again. And this time your Virgo memory is not confused about what it is seeing. This time there is no ambiguity in the recognition. The pattern has a name now because you have lived it before. And that knowledge, the knowledge that comes specifically from having seen something more than once, is one of the most powerful forms of insight available to any human being. You are not making assumptions. You are applying what you have actually learned from real experience. And what that experience is telling you, clearly and without apology, is that this pattern has a predictable conclusion. The next chapter is not a mystery. And because you can see it coming, you are not obligated to simply wait for it to arrive. You can choose differently with full information this time. 11. Something this person does or says finally aligns exactly with what your inner knowing had been telling you all along. This is the moment, Virgo. Not a dramatic moment necessarily. Not a confrontation or a revelation delivered with tears or raised voices. More likely, it will be a quiet moment. An ordinary one. Something this person does in a regular interaction, or something they say in a conversation that was not supposed to be significant. And yet something in that action or those words lands with an exactness that stops you completely. Because what you are hearing or witnessing in that moment matches something you have been carrying internally for a very long time. Not the version you presented to others when they asked how things were going. Not the optimistic interpretation you gave yourself when you were trying to stay fair. But the deep version, the one that lived in the space your careful analysis always circled but rarely looked at directly. Your inner knowing. The part of you that did not need more data, that already understood, that had been holding the truth quietly and patiently while the rest of you gathered evidence and considered alternatives and tried very hard to be a fair and generous person. That part of you is about to receive its confirmation. And what happens in that moment is very particular for Virgo. It is not relief exactly. Not anger, not grief, not triumph. It is something quieter than all of those. It is the settling that happens when the last remaining uncertainty resolves. When the part of you that was still wondering finally has permission to stop. When the work your mind has been doing, all those careful returns to the inconsistency, all that patient observing, all that considerate holding of possibility, reaches its natural end. You will know in that moment exactly what you have always known. And you will also know with a clarity that feels like a long breath finally released, that you are free now. Free from the loop. Free from the wondering. Free from the particular exhaustion of holding something unresolved for longer than it deserved. The truth is yours now. Fully, finally, completely. And what you do with it, that is where your real power begins. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. And now, Virgo, we arrive at the part that matters most. Not the signs themselves, but what you choose to do with the clarity they are pointing toward. Because knowing the truth is one thing. Deciding how to live in light of it is another entirely. You have spent a long time being fair to this person. You have given them the benefit of your considerable analytical patience, your generous tolerance, your deep and genuine willingness to wait for more information before arriving at judgment. That patience is not something to be ashamed of. It is one of the finest qualities in you. The refusal to condemn without cause, the insistence on being thorough before being certain. But there is a point at which continued fairness to someone else becomes a kind of unfairness to yourself. There is a point at which holding space for a truth you have already arrived at, under the cover of needing just a little more certainty, stops being honest consideration and becomes avoidance. You are near that point if you have not already crossed it. What the universe is moving you toward right now is not judgment. It is not harshness, not the withdrawal of all generosity, not the cold conclusion of an analytical machine that has finished its calculation. It is something much more human and much more quietly powerful than any of those things. It is acceptance. It is the moment when you allow yourself to simply know what you know, to hold it without continuing to question it, to integrate it as real, and from that place of real knowing to make your choices freely. The truth about someone does not have to destroy anything. It does not have to create conflict or chaos. What it creates when you allow it in fully is an honest foundation from which to move. You can choose from that foundation how to proceed, what to hold closer, what to release, what to protect, what to let naturally complete itself. You are not at the end of something, Virgo. You are at a beginning, the beginning that only becomes available when the fog of unresolved uncertainty finally clears. Step into that clarity without fear. You are ready for it. You have been ready for quite some time.